for coming by here. We're wanting to know about your epilepsy story.
Okay, I'll tell you what I can.
Okay.
It's a long story, but it doesn't slow me down.
Okay. That's the kind of spirit you need to have, isn't it?
Back growing up as a kid, I didn't know what epilepsy was. So we had a little name for what I used to have.
Okay.
Gene's having another stupid moment. Looking back now, yeah, they were absent seizures,
Okay.
but, growing up on the farm,
Yeah.
it was part of life.
Yeah.
I turned 18, went in the Marine Corps, jumping out of planes,
Not
out of
knowing.
helicopters. Occasionally my buddies had to grab me, Gene, before you jump, get rid of that stupid moment. But again, we didn't know what was going on. Everybody just thought I was a space cadet.
Yeah. There's so much more now about epilepsy.
And
Were you able to stay in the Marines?
I stayed for 3 years.
Okay.
Had a bad experience with our executive officer / career planner.
Okay.
And I had other opportunities in life at the time. I went to work on drilling rigs, of all things.
Had you been diagnosed yet?
No.
Okay.
And at that time, I was still just having what we call my stupid moments.
Okay.
Didn't think much of it.
Yeah.
I worked in the drilling industry till, let's see, after my second divorce. So, and then I moved to a different county. I had to get away from ex-wife and friends who weren't healthy for me.
Yeah.
So I moved and I started a business building dairies
Okay.
and working around a lot of live animals and in high places, putting up a building 60 feet high.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first to admit I was not always compliant with OSHA standards. Took too long to tie off.
Yeah.
That beam's this wide.
Yeah.
That's the same width as a stripe you got to walk in a sobriety test. I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't matter how high off the ground you are.
Okay. So when did you get diagnosed then as having
In
seizures?
2007, well, actually probably around 2004, I started to have atonic seizures.
Okay.
Again, I didn't know what was going on. The one time I ended up in the hospital, they told me low blood sugar, gave me some glucose pills and sent me home.
Okay.
Then I had a couple of events at work where what made the impression to me was I smelt burning plastic ahead of it
Okay.
and lost consciousness.
Yeah.
And one of the times I was driving and I said, hey, I got to do something. I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on can't be right. I ended up having resection of the right temporal lobe. I had a cavernous hemangioma.
Okay.
And they've told me all along it was from childhood abuse.
Oh wow.
What they took out, they told me, was 2 3/4 inch in diameter and 5/8 an inch thick of calcified blood.
Oh my goodness.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
So I closed my business and I went back to work in the drilling industry, just working as a shop manager,
Okay.
where I was inside,
Yeah.
not working in high areas.
Yeah.
And I did that for a few years and made the wrong people mad, and they let me go. Well, all of a sudden, by now I'd had a couple more instances where I'd had seizures, and I had been diagnosed. I was actually diagnosed in December '08. Is the first time epilepsy was mentioned to me.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, I can't work. I lived off my life savings up until 14. And all of a sudden, I didn't have money for meds. And, same old sad story. One of my friends from a veterans group from Marine Corps League said, "Hey, why don't you go to the VA?" It's like, I didn't serve long enough. They're like, no, you got an honorable discharge and you're financially in need.
Yeah.
So I went to Loma Linda VA.
Okay.
I got a primary who was great. She's since retired, but she was a great primary. And she set me up with neuro at Loma Linda, Maine. And I got probably the best neurologist I've ever met. Pure luck, whatever it is. But Dr. Patel was an extreme patient advocate. She started seeing meds weren't working and started seeing it right away. Let's get you into a program. Let's do a video EEG. We don't have them at Loma Linda. Can you travel to West LA?
Yeah.
Sure. So I went to West LA, and over the next 2 years, year and a half to 2 years, we did 5 phase 1 video EEGs. And then in 16, they said, we have too much activity going on in there. We're going to do a subdural grid and strip.
Okay.
And so they did the phase 2 subdural grid and strip, and they did another resection.
Okay.
And then I kept going back in for more and more phase 1 scalp EEGs.
Sure.
And in early 19, I think it was early 19, they said, "Hey, we want to do a deep brain probe
Okay.
test on you. Is that okay?" It's like, sure, yeah, I'm down.
What do you got to lose?
Yeah,
Right?
it's only 2 weeks in bed, and
Yeah.
your doctor's coming, take you on walks, and
So were you hospitalized
Yes.
for 2 weeks? Okay.
yes.
And did that help?
I haven't done any at home.
Okay.
Everything's been hospitalized,
Okay.
so I don't have to cook.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did the deep brain probe, and they said, "We'd like for you to come back in a couple of months," and they implanted the RNS,
Okay.
and I'm now 1,898 days seizure free.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really good. It's a success story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you come to this event before?
Yes.
Epilepsy Awareness Days?
Yes.
How many times have you been here?
I think this is my third. I've gone to some other events that they had out at local hospitals and stuff, and my memory's not the best anymore. I'll be the
Right.
first to admit.
Well, we're getting old too.
And
right?
Natalia from the VA, she's always invited me to epilepsy walk, epilepsy,
Anything,
because
right?
I'm that guy that got it, past it.
Yeah. So what have you gained from attending this event?
I've met a lot of people, excuse me, that have some good information, and I've been able to share my information, which I don't know if it's helped them, but they seem to find it interesting.
Yeah.
And see, sometimes I've seen some of the same people, multiple times now.
Yeah. So if you had a friend or knew someone that has epilepsy, what would you tell them about this event? Would you tell them to attend?
I would tell them to come and at least gather information that you can share with your doctor.
Yeah.
Because that, especially with the VA, I know we have a lot of veterans who don't feel they get what they deserve from the VA.
Yeah.
And my experience, and it's just my experience, but the way I see it, I went in there wanting help and knowing how to work with people.
Yeah.
Because I've worked a lot of places in my life with a lot of different people. And if you have a secretary in office, and you don't have to mean it, but if you walk in and say, wow, you sure look nice today, it goes a long way. You can get your paycheck early.
Yeah.
I was taught that at a young age. My father served on a local school board for 28 years. You know, bosses come and go, secretaries are there forever.
Yep.
So yeah, learn how to speak to, and with the VA, they gave me the option of having a male or a female doctor at the time.
Okay.
And I prefer female doctors because they're easier to talk to.
Yeah. That's amazing you got that option, because most people don't ever get that option.
They asked me, they said, well, I think how they put it was, if you want a male doctor, you're gonna have to wait a couple of months before we can get you into a primary.
Oh, okay.
Would
So
you
that
work
made
with
it
a,
easy.
will you work with a female doctor?
Yeah.
Sure, in my lifetime, I've worked with hundreds of doctors.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're doing well.
And it's just like working on a dairy or building dairies. The bulls and the steers, they're a challenge. Milk cows are easy to work with. And I don't mean that derogatory in any way.
No, I understand completely. I come from the Midwest. We've got dairy farmers all around.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was one of those, it was an easy decision, and then I got a great primary to start, and I got a absolute best neurologist to start.
Good.
And then when I got to West LA, I had the best of the best, because not only, was it the staff from the VA, but all of the folks from UCLA.
Yeah.
And let's face it, UCLA is not my favorite school in the world, but they are known for producing the best brain surgeons.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what you needed. So, is there anything else you'd like to add to this?
No, other than if you're a veteran, and give the VA a chance, go in with a good attitude. It goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, they helped me, and they've helped others that I know, but
Good.
the common denominator seems to be attitude.
Yeah. That's the story through life, isn't it?
Yep.